Hi everyone, welcome. So this is a bit more of a breakdown of crow pose. So you definitely want to feel a bit warmed up first. So if you've not done anything already today, maybe just pause this and do a quick 10 minutes of yoga or something else. We're going to warm up the wrists in this, but if you feel like you need a bit more movement first, then come back to this video a little bit later on. So out there in the world, there's a lot of different people saying, different things about crow. So all I'll say is, if what I say to you doesn't really work, it doesn't resonate for you, you can't get into the pose, you try and you still can't get it, just keep trying with different teachers, because sometimes it just takes the sort of penny drop moment, and that could come from anyone, and then you'll all of a sudden get it. So I've got a pile of pillows, so take a moment now to just run around your house and grab yourself some pillows. You can go for one cushion if you want, but if crow pose is something that you're really working on, I honestly find like it's more accessible we've got more padding here. You'll see when we get to that point. So push them to one side. Come on to all fours. So crow is an arm balance, and anything on our hands, we really want to warm up the wrists. It's really easy to warm your wrists up. You don't really need to do too much in advance, other than starting to draw some circles with your shoulders over your wrists. So this can be circles, or it can just be a bit of a figure eight, a little bit side to side, whatever you really want. Start to turn your hands outwards a little bit. And then just start to take your hands in all the different directions. So I'm turning mine now back towards my knees, back towards the front, in towards each other in the middle. And then take your hands wider apart, fingers off the edge of the mat, and just move side to side. Come back into the middle. Turn one hand upside down. Fingers point back towards your own knees on that one hand, and draw a few little circles. Notice if your wrists are tight. It's not that we want really, really flexible wrists. We need them to be strong as well. And the tightness probably won't go away one day. You'll still feel elements of tightness, but it's just noticing where you need to perhaps give it a little bit more attention. Swap your hands over, other hand, turn it upside down, small circles. Okay, come back, let's just shake the hands. Often it feels like you just need to shake it out after that. Okay, so in this tutorial today, I'm going to go through three, we'll see, might be three, different ways that we can play with crow. And I emphasise play because I don't think anyone ever just nails this pose their first time. And that doesn't mean that you're not doing it. So if you're playing with it, you're doing the pose, that still counts. It's just a type of crow. So we're going to start with our most padding, and then we're going to reduce it down. So if you can already do crow, there's something in this video for you as well. You can try these different variations. This is going to be for your head, but hopefully it's not really going to be for your head. It's more to take the fear out of this. So the first version of crow that we're going to do, my pile's probably a bit high, we'll have a look in a moment, is I'd like you to come into Malasana. So Malasana is your yogi squat position. Now it doesn't matter for today, if your heels are off the floor, you can either, what we could actually do, is we could take our heels onto something that's soft and a bit lifted, so that you don't have to have heels flat on the floor. Just have a little wiggle side to side if you need to get into the hips. And then really, really wedge your tops of your arms down in by your knees. So if you have a good look at mine here, my knee's sticking up over the top of my arm. Bring both hands to the floor, and we're really trying to create space with the hands. Think about almost big starfish with the hands. They're not sort of going to sleep, they're really awake and spread. Come up onto your tiptoes really, really high. And then start to tip forward, and we're going to bend the elbows here out a little bit to the sides. So all I want you to do at first is this. Little bend of the elbows, lean forwards. Okay, now rather than stare straight down at the ground, now I want you to look ahead along the floor. And now bend the elbows and just start to tip. Imagine you're going to jut your chin forwards along the floor or to the wall at the other side of the room, not straight down at the ground, but ahead of you. Jut, jut, jut. Ooh, went a bit far. From here, we've just got the toes touching the floor. Tip until you can flex one foot and then just flex the other foot. And then maybe flex both feet to lift up from the ground. If you go too far, head on your pillows and you can crash land. So the pillows are there to show you that if you do go so far, it's fine. Your head's going to touch them. It's really not that bad. So let's try that one more time. Come into Malasana, yogi squat. Really get the tops of your arms in. So this isn't a full crow pose. If you're looking at this thinking, well, that's not the shape I'm really thinking of. I know. This is how you're going to get there. Start to tip forwards, jut your chin, spread your fingers. Some people have their hands too close together. Work out what works for you. About shoulder distance is usually good. And some people like to turn the hands so the fingers slightly out, thumbs slightly in. But again, play with it. Don't look down, look forward, jut the chin and tip until just the big toes touch the floor. And then flex the feet and hold. Yeah. And have a play with that one quite a few times if you need to. We're not jumping the feet up. There's literally no point. You're not going to... If you imagine a seesaw in a park and you really want the seesaw to balance evenly in midair, you wouldn't go to the side of the seesaw that's on the floor and throw it up in the air and hope that it just balances, which is what we do when we sort of jump our feet up. It probably isn't going to stick. Maybe once out of 100. What we do instead, what we would do at the seesaw at the park, is we'd go to the seesaw and we'd get the side that's in the air and we'd start to press it down slowly and slowly until the other side lifts up, and then we'd find that balance and then we'd hopefully let go of it. That's what we're doing here in crow, is we're sending the head, the chin forwards and then down a little bit, sending the weight of the chest forwards until the feet almost lift by themselves, so there's no need to jump at all. Second round of crow. So if you've mastered that, or if that's not for you and you want to try something else, again, your pile of pillows will come in really handy. So this time we're going to come up a little bit higher and we're going to take our knees to the outer edges of the tops of your arms. So now your knees are going to imagine that they're trying to squeeze in together and your arms are trying to push back into your knees. So we're going to tip forwards, again, look forwards, squeeze your knees in together, and notice how I didn't jump at all. I just sort of squeezed and felt like my bum was lifting up in the air, and that's what picked my feet up for me. I'm going to demonstrate what will happen if you go too far and you've got your pillows. So remember, this is a seesaw, so as long as you don't jump, you're going to be tipping, 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 the feet will tip, and you'll go boom, like this. And then you can put your feet down and you can crawl out of it. So definitely just bring them in. And it's okay to have a big pile of cushions here. It absolutely is. Once you've done crow 10, 20 times without needing to touch your pillows, you'll be confident enough to try it without them there. So that time, just to reiterate, knees, tops of the arms, squeeze, squeeze in, come onto tiptoes, tip forwards. I'm looking ahead along the floor. You can look down, but to begin with, eyes forwards and ahead. Psychologically, it's going to help. Eventually, you can change that, but the position of your head really at this point isn't too important. Third version of crow, knees into armpits. So when I first moved from this version that we just did to knees into armpits, I got bruises in the tops of my arms. And then they just stopped. So sometimes that part of your body is just not used to this. Some people prefer this one. Up to you. Hands come down to the floor. Same thing with the hands for all of these. Knees right up in the armpits. Bend your elbows, make a shelf, and then tip forward. You almost have to look down this time because your hips are really high up in the air. So this one is, if you're okay, going to be looking down at the ground. Start to tip forwards, making this shelf with your elbows. Lift one foot, lift the other. See if you can touch the big toes together, and then lift the feet up towards your glutes and come out. So, up to you, which version you'd like to try. Always give your wrists a little bit of love in between, just shake them out, move them around. It's likely that you'll feel some stiffness quite quickly. And lastly, I'll just say, you could practice crow anytime that you've done a yoga practice. So you don't want to be really tired in your body. I've just done some filming before this and I could feel it. I thought, oh, you know, a bit tired now, but you also don't want to wake up first thing in the morning and try it. So if you've done a bit of a practice, or if you've just moved your wrists, warmed them up, then give it a go. Remember, it's all practice. There's no perfect. And do you know what? Even when you master a pose, there's another pose to master after that. So for now, pick which one of these you want to try, or maybe try all of them. And then drop them in 2 or 3 times a week at a time that works for you. And send me a picture, send me a video if you manage to do it. I love it when I see people nail a pose for the first time, because although yoga's not all about these poses, it's a great achievement. And by doing them, we're learning and we're problem solving about our own bodies, and we're getting to know our own bodies really, really well. So give it a go, have some fun, be playful. If you've got kids at home with you, get them involved because they love this stuff. And good luck, have fun. Thank you for joining me.